wanted to go over Sereniel a bit later, partly because of the holidays, but also mostly just because her kit is very unique compared to the last couple of characters that we've gotten, in where she doesn't really have like one ideal build path in my opinion. But Sereniel is going to be a primarily single target DPS, pretty similar to Tressa actually in generating a bunch of zero cost cards, but through breaking enemies. And so she actually becomes a lot weaker or a lot worse in situations where there's only one enemy or enemies with huge break bars. And like I said, I don't think there's one specific build path. I'll just kind of go over epiphanies hopefully as quickly as I can. So the big one here I want to point out is homing laser here. This one is when the enemy is broken, you will get an additional hit. So this is going to be good for more damage, and it's going to be really good for anything that is going to be able to recycle this back to hand. Either that is breaking or being able to use it freely, like her purple card. If I can figure out how to get out of here. Pale Shooting Star, where it'll activate 3 lasers in the graveyard. So if you have like 3 of these epiphanies with the 2 hits, that means you're doing 6 additional hits off of that 1 purple card. So this one is the best for damage period, but a good thing to note here is that it does not give you any of the unique buff that she has. This is Afterglow, so every stack of Afterglow that you have, for every hit of an attack that you do, you'll get 1 bar of tenacity damage. You'll do plus 50% damage if the enemy is broken, and then again each hit is going to reduce each stack by 1. So this one doesn't give you any of that additional break potential, where all these other ones do give you some more break potential. So this one is going to be purely, strictly damage. If they aren't broken, this one is pretty ass. But then this ties in situationally as to what you need. So if you know that you are just going to hone in for as much damage as possible off of a card like this laser and being able to recycle it back, then you're going to want that additional hit. But if you're looking for this card to help additionally give you some more break, then you have a bunch of other great options like this one, which gives it to you at the start of every turn. That'll be for longer fights. Honestly, I think this one's pretty bad though. You only get 1 of the buff. It has one of the lowest damage modifiers. The only benefit is moving it at the start of the turn, but I think if you build everything else out accordingly, then that is a lot less value there. You have this one here, which gives you the most amount of the buffs, so very good if you're going to be investing into her multi-hit attack, so you can do a lot more damage there and potentially get a lot more break off there, or being able to create more lasers or move them all back in hand, which I think is a little less useful when it comes to most scenarios you're going to like seeing her in, which is like I said, a lot of enemies that you can break easily. But again, situationally, I think every one kind of has its place. Just that this one is going to be the most ideal for damage. And then Plasma Missile here. We're not going to go into the effects. If you want to see the effects, you should see them yourself. But this essentially just does some decent tenacity damage, and it'll do a little more if they aren't already broken. And the big ones here that I really like, so there's creating. If you need more creation of your lasers in general, then this can be very good. I think the best one in general is going to be the upgrade. Of course, gets it out of your deck. It gives you the end of turn damage is pretty ass. Nobody really cares about that. It's 50% damage to a random enemy at the end of your turn. But more importantly, you get 30% additional damage for each homing laser moved to your hand for 1 turn. So as soon as you break, if you have like a trash filled with at least like, we'll say around like 7 to 10 of your lasers that will get brought back into your hand after you break the enemy, you're going to be looking at, what is that, 200% plus damage. So pretty decent there. And this is going to account for any time they move. So if you're breaking multiple enemies, you're getting them out of your hand and then doing it again, that can stack even further. But what is going to be more consistent, I would say, is probably going to be just boosting it by 60% for 1 turn, and then applying the Instinct weakness, which I think this is her only card that's actually going to apply her elemental weakness, which is pretty cool. So this one is more consistent, but I think in general this upgrade is going to be the best. The only situation that I would say this isn't going to be the best is going to be like if you're trying to shoot for killing something as fast as possible, like a 1-turn kill or something like that, in which case you probably wouldn't want this as much. At least for bosses, unless you have like a fully cooked out build, there's no guarantee that you're going to be breaking every turn. But yeah, in general, that one's the best. But again, like I said, situationally, a lot of these can be good in their own situations. But I think ideally you're going to want to shoot for the upgrade, the plus 60% damage there, and potentially maybe even the plus 60% damage for each decreased tenacity bar of the target, capping out at 600%. Shining Core is going to be how you generate more lasers primarily before you get all of your cards kitted out. Again, I really love what they've done with their kit where all the cards are good in their own right. I think the best one in, again, most cases, more specific use cases, you're going to want to, cater your build a little more specifically. But another upgrade to get rid of it out of your deck, but also you are going to create 2 lasers every time you break the enemy. So this is going to be very consistent in how you're going to be able to generate more and more lasers and fill up your trash. The X cost is okay. The only reason I say it's okay is because it can help just entirely get rid of your issue of creating more lasers in just one card. But also, even if you have 0 energy, you're still going to get 1 laser out of it. And then as well as Shining Core, and this one will select and create 1 homing laser with their own distinct epiphanies. So the OG homing laser is going to be the card that you start with, this one right here. And what that is going to do is it's going to create one of those cards with any one of its epiphanies, as you can see here. So a lot of people like to dupe homing laser because it is very good, it is cheap, it comes back to your hand, it gets stacks up afterglow, or it does the most damage. And so with this upgrade here, in cases where you're trying to build out a save data, it is neat that you can kind of actually shoot for this card as well in order to create more duplicates of homing laser that you want. Of course, unless you're going for a God Epiphany, this will not give you a God Epiphany, just a basic Epiphany that you get to select and add into your deck for the fight. Yes, another situation where all of her selections are pretty good. Creating more lasers if you want to pick those options. I think those are all the lesser options, and then the upgrades are both pretty dang strong. And then Cobalt Light, I really like this card. I don't think it's an amazing card, but it is pretty damn good. So 3 costs, it does 4 hits and does 1 tenacity damage per hit. Then all of its upgrades do something cool in their own right. Like this one, when you break with the card, it'll do an additional 4 hits. And it targets the weakness no matter the enemy. This one I think is going to the best again for damage. Adds 1 hit for each homing laser in hand. So if you're able to clear out your hand, keep this card in hand, break the enemy, and then get back 10 lasers, play this out, and then you get 9 additional hits onto that card right there. And it's the cheapest cost, being only 1. And then the rest of these are also fine in their own right. I personally have one build that I got kind of lucky in for general purposes, where I got a couple copies of this Retain one. And this one is nice because I can play out all my other cards, and then if I still have energy left over, then I can go ahead and play this out whenever I would like, and then being able to benefit off of those additional hits. Otherwise, just playing it nicely to get some nice big breaks. And last are purple, mythic, whatever you want to call it. 2 cost, 180% damage, and then you activate 3 homing lasers in your drop pile or your trash for free. Again, so like the homing laser right here, when you get this duped out and you get this epiphany out, especially with the damage one, you can end up doing a lot of damage. So the initial damage off of her own, and then an additional 6 hits off of this if you have 3 copies of that. And it's every time you play it, so that makes this an eligible duplicate target as well, especially if you have 3 copies of this and then 2 copies of the Pale Shooting Star. You get these out there, put them into your drop pile or your trash, play this out, get those 6 hits off, and then play them out for free, and then just do it all over again with another Pale Shooting Star. So she's got a lot of cool things that she can do, and she's got a lot of great versatility in her kit. And that's what I really like about her. It makes her really shine in chaos because you can kind of just freely go wherever you want, and almost nothing is a bad choice. Not everything is going to be a perfect choice, you know, in tandem all together, but everything is generally pretty good. And then her ego is an ego. Nothing too crazy there, honestly, and I don't think its effect or benefit isn't very useful unless you're lasting into really long in a fight, you know, if it's like multiple turns for whatever reason, where it'll move from your exhaust pile lasers, which is a neat idea, but in most cases, most fights, you're not really going to get to that point, really. And for partners, I think Yuri is going to be for most people, it's going to be the best one. It has one of the best ego skills you can get out of pretty much any partner, which is just drawing 2. Nothing wrong with that. And that's really the only option I would suggest, unless you have the limited partner Pekko. Pekko will potentially do more damage because they've actually tried to create a partner with a more buffed out kit, I would say. Pekko giving you the boosted attack, the stackable boosted damage up to 30% additional damage, and then giving you another 15% additional damage. And then her ego skill giving you an additional 25% crit rate when you break the enemy. Also pretty cool, but I do like the draw 2 more. So like I said, in most cases, I actually like Yuri a lot more than I like the exclusive. But if you have that, feel free to go for it. It'll probably end up doing more damage in the long run, but that draw 2 is really nice. Not much to say about potentials, but there's what I have her at right now. I go for the 2/2/2. I also do have a build with her because this is what I started with originally with the Instinct set, where you get plus 50% damage to cards against ravaged targets or broken targets. And it is great, and I do like that, and I think it is better, but only if you can actually reliably break the enemy really fast. If you're not doing it fast enough, I think honestly that the 2/2/2 split is just going to be better in general. And then her duplicates. Her duplicates are pretty damn good. Mostly her E1 is pretty good, giving you additional damage to her purple card, but more importantly, being able to activate 5 lasers out of your draw pile and your trash. That alone makes it insanely good. And her E2 also really good. You get at the start of a fight, you just get to generate 2 lasers, and more importantly, if you draw any lasers, then you get to draw another card. So that way they're not just dead draws, you know, the 0 cost you're going to get rid of. You also get to get another draw out of this ego here. Insanely good. So if you can get her to E2, if you really love her, I would say at least get her to E2 if you want her to kind of be one of your primary characters going into the future. E3 classic ego buff. This is also something like the unique buffs. So you get potentially plus 50% damage off of her 4th dupe. And it's going to be very easy to proc max stacks on that, plus 50% damage. So pretty nice there if you're going to go that deep in. And I think in the case for most characters, if you're going to go all the way to her 4th dupe, skipping over her 5th dupe, going over to her last dupe, when you break, inflict 80% damage for each segment of the broken target's max tenacity. So if they have, 10 bars of tenacity, then you're going to do another 800% damage. So if you're going to go that far, might as well go there. But honestly, you could potentially stop at the E4 because E6 is not that insane, but it is pretty damn good, especially if you pair it with a partner that we'll go over in a minute, or a combatant in your team in a minute. All right, examples of save data. I've done a few runs with her, but I haven't gone for any like insano builds yet, mostly just all right builds. So like I said, a build I would like to go for is one where I'm getting at least 3 copies of this homing laser that adds 1 hit, because I think that is going to be able to put out the most damage in a single turn. You can see a couple copies of Pale Shooting Star. But the build I like the most is actually the first save I got playing here at all. Is this one. Unfortunately, it does have 1 copy of the basic, but that's okay. And nothing is too crazy here. But I do like the God Epiphanies. I do like the fact that I got the upgrade here. This X cost is fine. And then 2 copies of this God Epiphany Cobalt Light. Again, it is that retained one, but it does reduce the cost. It only costs 2 now. And it's just nice just for clearing out waves of enemies. And I think it's going to be especially really good in Basin. Being able to get breaks pretty much at any point in time that I want, being able to generate a bunch of lasers. And yeah, like I said, I really like the versatility of her kit. I'd be pretty cool with using just about any build on her, but yeah, she's definitely a lot of fun to play so far. And then for her teammates, I think obligatory, I'm just going to skip over Mika and Cassius because they're pretty much good in any team you throw them into. Kind of the same with Nia. Once you get a good build going on her, she can pretty much be thrown into any team and she's going to work really well. One specific one is going to be Selena. Selena is going to be able to help break. She's going to apply a bunch of mark. And most importantly, this is going to be paired with one of the only times that this Epiphany is going to be especially useful is on her tactical maneuver. If target is in a broken state, you recharge their tenacity. Now, I've never used this card personally because I don't think it has been necessarily that good until this point with Sereniel. So I don't know if it fully I would assume it fully charges their bar, but if it only charges it by 1, that's insane. But yeah, recharges their tenacity. So you can go ahead and do all of Sereniel shenanigans all over again. So you'd want to go for a deck that has this card duped out. And then Selena also has like a bunch of stuff that just assists with more damage when it comes to breaking an enemy. So just very good in general with Sereniel. One character that I think is not going to be necessarily that great unless you can get like a lot of like infinite draw support going on is going to be Hugo, just because with his unique buff, the whatever it's called, Commence the Hunt. Although Sereniel is going to be playing an insane amount of attacks, playing the amount of skills to actually upkeep the Commence the Hunt buff is going to be a lot rougher for her. And then of course you compare with other characters. I know they mentioned like Chizuru and Yuki because of course you're going to suggest those. I think those can work just fine. Like, well, it's not my build, but I have a 1-card build with Chizuru, which is of course going to work just about with anybody. But the last one I really wanted to suggest is going to be Calliope. Now, Sereniel does have some higher cost cards that she can utilize, so that can help actually proc off a lot of Calliope's Celestial cards, as well as just being Instinct as well. So, of course, not in most content, you know, as far as like Basin or doing the Great Rift is going to be concerned, this isn't going to be that helpful. But in all other case and scenarios, I would like to at least bring up that Calliope does have quite a decent bit of synergy with Sereniel. And then one of the best showcases I could show her off in, well, I haven't done Basin yet, so eventually maybe I'll show her off in Basin. But this battle mission, or these newest battle missions, are at least Instinct weak, so we can at least show off her power, or at least her playstyle, at least a little bit. And I'll showcase her with a not OP build of Cassius and with my 1-card Chizuru. And we'll just go ahead and see how she plays. Oops, I messed up audio a little bit, but we'll go ahead and get started. So Instinct weak, and we do have multiple enemies, which is going to be nice. And I kind of forgot that she generated cards, but hey, look at there. The X-Cost gets to show up already and get the party started. You can see the Cobalt Light sits, and with Chizuru's ability, this will keep going down, but now it's up to 5 hits. This new one is going to be a 4-hitter. Of course, I want to get her powers out of the way, but I can go ahead and just play this out. I haven't stacked up any of her buff yet to provide additional break damage, but you can already see, just because on its own, it already does 1 tenacity damage for each hit, that it's pretty much a free break whenever I get to play it out. Unfortunately, we did break both of them off of the 1 card. But even with that little slip up, we're still able to clear everything out. And here, ideally, we actually, you know, would want to get rid of all of the other cards in our hands. So that way, when we do break, we're going to get hopefully a full hand of lasers. But that sounds like a little too much work. So I'm just going to go ahead and spread the love here. Then hopefully we don't break everybody. We broke 3. And we didn't even get our best laser back. And then here you can see I'm actually just holding, although I do have a 2nd card. I'm holding just so I have enough to make sure that I can still break again without going into Joker, because again, I'm just lazy, so I don't want to get back into Joker if I don't have to. We probably will have to though. Oh, maybe not. Okay, yeah. So you can already see just how insane Sereniel is just without even really trying. So she is a single target focused unit, but she actually plays best when you have multiple enemies, especially multiple enemies that can all be broken. So like in a situation like this, luckily these are just adds, so I don't have to worry about them. But yeah, ideally with enemies that can all be broken, so I can just keep recycling and keep generating more and more lasers. And you can see they're nearly a full hand, and that's just off of 1 break, so yeah, pretty nice. Oh, these aren't considered adds this time around. In like the farming stages they are. Alright. Well, okay, this is going to be the 1 wave that'll actually take multiple turns besides the setup waves. Close, though. Oh, wait, I still have her ego. Never mind. I forgot that was a thing. But yeah, Sereniel is really good, and I think she's going to be great in no matter what you throw her into, and I think that she is a whole lot of fun to play. And my new least favorite mode, you can definitely, I think that they're just going to do this in general with these. I hope that, I don't know, I hope they reconsider these, but they're of course going to be buffing the new character, especially going forward, I think. So you can already see that the top team in the second half, at least, is going to be Sereniel, Selena, and Cassius. Cassius to help with Infinite, Selena most likely to help with the Infinite, restoring the tenacity there. And then Sereniel for damage and breaking. So yeah, she's fun. She's great. She's really strong, and most importantly, really versatile. So I think she's going to be a great addition into Chaos runs in general, especially with the new modes to look forward to in the future. So Sereniel is going to be one of the only times, or at least I think the first time for all of the new characters, that I think that she's actually going to be very good and definitely a great asset to your roster. if you're going to pull for any of these seasonal characters. And of course, amplified by the fact that she is a limited time, so once her banner's gone, she's going to be gone for the foreseeable future. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.